they're so arrogant. Like the arrogance is just oozing out of their body and they can't sort of get over what has happened. There's no better example than what just happened on this little podcast. Katie Couric and Jen Psaki went on. It's like, oh, so-and-so and so-and-so go in a bar together. Jen Psaki and Katie Couric. That's a name you haven't heard in a while, right? Did this little podcast together. And they're lamenting the whole thing. They just can't understand it. Jen Psaki, Peppermint Patty, remember her? She was the press person, turned MSNBC person. Oh, remember Katie? She was the NBC Today Show star that went on to be the CBS News anchor. I worked under like a bunch of different anchors there as a reporter. Dan Rather, Bob Schieffer, and Katie Couric. And Katie really just, it's still going downhill though. Like, we thought it couldn't get any worse when she was there, and it's still gotten worse. Anyway, now she's doing this little podcast thing, and you want to talk clueless.
Your campaign slogan is a new way.
There was that 3-week blackout period, which I honestly could not understand. That was making me crazy just from a consumer.
Understand. I also don't.
What was that?
I think, I don't know. I think maybe a focus on the debate, and the debate being a moment where, but let's just be real, debates are important for the American people. They do not, this is also like an outdated view of like how elections will turn, in my view.
I think she should have been everywhere.
But also Tim Walz, who was this kind of like so appealing, rough around the edges guy. During Veep Stakes, where he propelled himself onto the ticket essentially, and then he disappeared from public view for like 4 months. I don't think it would have changed the outcome. I think there's like lots of factors as far as I've digested it, but it is you have to be fearless in how you communicate and who and what formats you communicate on.
You have to know yourself what you believe in. You can't say, I am so against fracking, but oopsie daisy, I'm running for president. And Pennsylvania really matters. So now suddenly I'm for it. I mean, it just doesn't work. Donald Trump has one thing going for him. It's a heck of a lot of consistency. He's been saying the same thing for 30, 40 years. Go back and look at the old Oprah tapes or Larry King. It's the same darn stuff. He has a viewpoint. It's ingrained in him. It's part of who he is. Similar to RFK. Similar stuff. Bernie Sanders is the same way. I don't like Bernie, but you know what? At least he's believing in what he believes in. Nobody really got, other than maybe, she's got this really, really reddish communist streak in her from California. Nobody got what she was. So anyway, these two go on.
And that means doing all of the things, including with people you disagree with, who are going to be tough. I actually thought one of her better interviews was with Bret Baier. Like she liked being on, having a tough interview.
Can we stop the tape? One of her better interviews was with Bret Baier. Oh my gosh, Jen Psaki. I know that Carville says the moment in time that killed Kamala's campaign was on The View with Sunny when she just asked her, would you change anything? And she said, no, I wouldn't change anything. When America's looking for a change. But I actually think it was this moment in time that completely killed the Kamala campaign.
Your campaign slogan is a new way forward, and it's time to turn the page. You've been vice president for 3.5 years. So what are you turning the page from?
Well, first of all, turning the page from the last decade in which we've been burdened with the kind of rhetoric coming from Donald Trump that has been designed and implemented to divide our country and have Americans literally point fingers at each other. Rhetoric and an approach to leadership that suggests that the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down instead of what we all know. The strength of leadership is based on who you lift up. The strength of an American president, which is one who understands that the vast majority of us have more in common than what separates us.
Madam Vice President, more than 70% of people
that is about turning the page on rhetoric that people are frankly exhausted of, Brett.
More than 70% of people tell the country is on the wrong track. They say the country is on the wrong track. If it's on the wrong track, that track follows 3.5 years of you being vice president and President Biden being president. That is what they're saying, 79% of them. Why are they saying that? If you're turning the page, you've been in office for 3.5 years.
And Donald Trump has been running for office
But you've been the person holding the office.
Come on.
Madam
You
Vice
and I
President.
both know what I'm talking about. You and I both know what I'm talking about.
I actually don't. What are you talking about?
What I'm talking about is that over the last decade,
But
people
you're the
have
lever of
become.
power.
But listen, over the last decade, it is clear to me, and certainly the Republicans who are on stage with me, the former chief of staff to the president, Donald Trump, former defense secretaries, national security advisor, and his vice president. One, that he is unfit to serve, that he is unstable, that he is dangerous, and that people are exhausted with someone who professes to be a leader who spends full time demeaning and engaging in personal grievances and it being about him instead of the American people. People are tired of that.
If that's the case, why is half the country supporting him? Why is he beating you in a lot of swing states? Why, if he's as bad as you say, that half of this country is now supporting this person who could be the 47th president of the United States? Why is that happening?
This is an election for president of the United States. It's not supposed to be easy.
I know.
Okay, so just a reminder, Jen Psaki just told Katie Couric that that was Kamala's best interview ever. Oh my goodness. You know, they don't get out much, clearly. I don't know what they think an interview is supposed to be, but here's the reality of it. You know what? She couldn't talk about the economy. She couldn't talk about how she would change anything. She couldn't talk about policy. All she could do was attack. And that's not going to get you anywhere.